Greetings one and all, this is Lloyd Brown alongside the Work Beard, welcoming social media family to Lloyd Brown Music, where I'm going to be making another gear review video. I know I didn't really see myself doing this right now either, but I'm going to be doing another one because you've asked for it, you've demanded it, you've requested it. People's been saying, really great video, Mr. Lloyd Brown. I'm kind of like into bluegrass and country. I'm not really into the reggae, but I'm kind of liking the reggae vibe you're kind of bringing out to me right about now. I'm kind of feeling your vibe, my brother. Brethren, love the content, Elder. Love it. Keep the fire blazing, my brother. Love the content, mate. It's paka, you know what I mean? So yes, I'm going to be bringing that to you. So with that, I've just got one thing I need to take care of. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Was?
Right, now we got that out of the way. Roll Tigers. Lloyd Brown plugin of the week. What is up, you guys? I can't be doing that. I'm 56 years old, bro. Can't be doing that. I know, I won't do it again. I promise I won't do it again. Greetings one and all, this is Lloyd Brown and welcome social media family to Lloyd Brown Music, where as I stated before, I'm going to be doing another gear review video. This is a sponsored video by none other than Soundfingers, a company based in France who I reached out to because they had a plugin that I've been searching for the last year whilst in lockdown. Now, before I even go any further, I just want to state for the record, and this is a private yet public message going out to my guitarist, Remy. Remy, I know you're my guitarist and I love you like a brother, dude, but I ain't trying to replace you with this plugin. Don't get it twisted, all right? You're still in the band, all right? Right, that out the way. So basically, I'm going to be reviewing 3 products. One will be a reggae guitar plugin called Skank. The second one will be a plugin called Solid Sub, which is a sub bass plugin. And the third one is called Secret Dub Siren SI007. Now with Solid Dub and Secret Dub Siren, those 2 plugins are absolutely free. And Skank is the only paid plugin of the trio. So let's get into it. Right, okay, so here we are in the lab and we are in Kontakt's interface where I'm featuring all of the instruments that basically makes up this 4-bar little jam that I've got prepared for you right about now. Okay, so this jam basically contains the 3 plugins that I'm going to be reviewing. There's a Solid Sub right there. There's the Dub SI007, the Secret Dub Siren. And alongside that, we have got Chevron I, Voice of the Elves. We've got a free music box plug in there. We've got Alicia Keys 1.2 up in there. And we've got Skank as well. So let's just play the little groove that we got, which goes a little something like this, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. So that's basically the gist of the jam we got there for you now. I wanted to build a modern type beat to show the versatility of the Skank and also the Dub Siren and the sub bass plugin as well, because, you know, utilizing reggae designed plugins on modern music as a fusion, as a hybrid, call it what you will, I think is very, very important. All right. So before we go any further, let me just give you a little bit of blurb as to the developer of these plugins, just to give you, you know, a taste of who he is and where he's coming from. Hello, my name's Matt. I'm 35 and I live in Strasbourg, France. I've always been into music programming and graphic design, so what else could I do? Over the years, my interest in designing Kontakt instruments naturally grows, but I asked myself, can I do this? The only way to find out is to try. So I started the Soundfingers project. I have a strong reggae music background, but lately I'm into modern dub music, mostly listening to bands like High Tone, Zenzil, Panda Dub, Brain Damage. My ambition is to offer my own products to design new and original instruments to inspire musicians. I know this is not an easy adventure, but I like challenges. Soundfingers was created in 2019. Since then, I'm constantly working. Soundfingers lives in my living room and not in a big, rich building office. I'm just me, designing and programming instruments and managing my website. If you want to learn more about what I do on the side, feel free to take a look at my portfolio. I'm committed to create the best products I can, and I'm always happy to listen to what visitors and customers have to say. So feel free to contact me. I hope you enjoy what I have to offer. Welcome at Soundfingers. That's what I like. That's what I like. I like developers that are basically, they just lay it straight on the table where they're basically coming from. No airs and graces. All right, so let's just take out what is not necessary in this groove without all the third-party plugins and just basically feature the plugins that I'm going to be reviewing. So I'm going to leave the drum break in, and I'm going to take out everything else so you can literally hear all the other plugins to its fullness. All right, here we go. Now, for those eagle-eyed among you, you will see that the Skank section of the groove is actually an audio rendering of the plugin. I actually rendered it to audio, but I will be featuring the plugin in its basic form and showing you how it works. Obviously, I'm going to do that, but I just done it as a shortcut to just, just make things a little bit easier for presentation purposes. All right. So let's go into the Kontakt main interface. All right, so I'm going to be featuring the solid sub first of all. So let me just take out the Skank. Let me take out the dub Siren and just play a little bit of what we got here. All right, so let's in fact take out the drum as well, and just leave in the solid sub bass plugin. All right. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to actually go through the controls and see what it does within the solid sub recording. All right. So the first button we have is the saturation, which is here on the top left hand side, which is completely at 100%. So let's just see how that basically affects the sound. Which does what it basically says on the tin, and as I thought it would have, it has a Learn MIDI CC. So if you just right click that, it will basically give you the option to assign this to a physical button on your MIDI controller. All right, so there you go. So saturation does what it basically said. Attack does what it says. So let's go into it. So that's a 1.1 millisecond attack. Let's bring it up. Right, so that's very noticeable right about there. So you can give it less attack or more attack if you so desire, depending on the type of bass you're basically making. And right here we have the waveform, which I do believe is a saw wave and a square wave, I do believe. I'm not too familiar with those terminologies, but looking at the images, I do know what they actually sound like as a waveform per se, so so we've got the triangle wave. No, in fact, let's put it at the square wave. So let's just alter that. Right, so there's a clear difference right about there. All right, so the LFO rate is the oscillator rate, I guess. So let's just play around with that, see what that does. Right, so it's basically like a wobble effect as you would find as per dubstep kind of vibes there as well. Let's see what the glide, let's see what the glide basically does. Okay, so that, I think that measures basically the bend that you can give between the two notes that you play in a riff. Okay, let's see what this LFO AMT, I don't know what the AMT stands for. I'm so sorry, I'm not clued up as to abbreviation. I like to know what the things are when I hover over the buttons and it's not telling me, but we will find out, and no doubt someone will tell me in the comment section below. So let's go into it. Something tells me it's the amplitude. I may be wrong. Answers on a postcard, please. Right, so this big ass button in the middle looks like LP3. So that looks like it's the low pass frequency button. So let's give that a go and see how that sounds. Okay. So as you can see, right, there is quite a bit of customization to be had, and I'm literally just gone halfway through the settings already. Okay, so let's go up here with the notch frequency button right here. Okay, let's make it more noticeable. So at a guess, I would say that it's basically the frequency between the high notches on each waveform, I guess. I'm not well versed into sound design. Don't get it twisted. I know what I want to hear. Let's try again. Okay. So you can make it as smooth or as rough as you like. Okay, so here we have the daft low pass, which kind of opens up into a drop menu of different types. So let's see how that will affect. Oh, you know what? I think that this is in conjunction with the big button here. I could be wrong, but I'm going to have to investigate this much further. This is my first look. I'm not doing a walkthrough like I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm literally just having a first look at this. And already I'm getting the vibe of deep customization here. All right, so let's go into the last two buttons here. Right, okay, this looks kind of simple enough where you actually have the sub volume and the synth volume. And the synth, I would imagine, would give you the tone in terms of the somewhat resonance of the sound, and the sub would just give you like the deep, high passed sound of the bass. So let's just play with those real quick and see what we have. Right, so we're bringing everything down, so you can't really hear anything at the moment. So let's just bring up the synth volume. Okay, so that's kind of giving you like the the mid top end of the bass. I'd say more the high mid. And let's bring up the sub. Okay, well, on first viewing, first looking on Solid Sub, it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent, and considering that it is available for absolutely no dollars, no pounds, no cents, no moolah, nothing. It's absolutely free. I think it's pretty extensive for its price range or lack of thereof. Yeah, so yeah, Solid Sub, pretty decent. Right, so let's go into the dub Siren, or as we Caribbean people colloquially call the dub Siren. Right, so we got the dub Siren S1 or SI 007. And there's many different dub Sirens out there in the marketplace, some free ones as well. But in my honest opinion, they don't really come up to scratch unless I've missed a few along the way. But some of the ones I've seen that are available for free have not basically made the grade. We're leaving the bass and we're gonna put the drum chop in, and we're gonna add in the dub Siren. So let's see what we got here. So you're probably saying, where's the siren? I can't hear the siren. Well, the siren is basically in there, and it's purposely used as a percussive element within the plugin. And I'm going to give you the reason being for that. But of course, you want to hear how the dub Siren sounds, right? Okay, so let's go into the dub Siren interface right here. And it's pretty simple. As you can see, you've got manual settings for the sine waves, and you've got auto settings for the sine waves. You've got the auto setting for the square wave, and the manual setting for that as well. So I've left it on auto, and you have the volume, you have the LFO rate. That's basically how quick the waveform basically pulses, etc, etc, etc. So let's see how that basically sounds. And the way to operate it is simply you press a key to turn it on, press any other key to turn it off. There you go. That's on and off. On and off. Now, there is a bug that exists in this plugin, and there's no other way of basically going around it, because sometimes you will stop your project at the point when the on switch is basically pressed. And when it stops, that's what you're going to hear. Even when the project is stopped, nothing is moving, nothing is playing, you're going to basically get that. The only way to get around it at this point is if you actually go into the plugin, right? Like so, and turn it off. There's no other way of basically doing that. You're going to think, oh my God, my thing is crashed. No, it hasn't. It's just a bug where there's going to be a time when you're going to actually stop the track at the direct point when the on switch is activated for the plugin, and there's just no other way of basically going around that. All right, so anyway, enough of the technicalities of that bug said. Let's go into the plugin itself and see how that basically works. So I've got it set at 3, the LFO rate, and as you can see, it's a sine wave. So let's just take it to 0 and see how that works. All right, nothing, and you have that. Take it to 1. Wow, that pulse is really slow. 2. There you have the Jashaka vibe. Yeah, get me. All right, and taking it to the 3rd one, which you already heard. Okay, so with the combination of those rates and these buttons here, affectionately colored Ice Gold and Green. Let's see what the third one, the red button, does. So it varies the pulse of that particular wave pattern. So it's all color coded as well. So you can see with 3 it's red, 2 is gold. So let's go into that one. And let's just see if it's MIDI CC learn as well. Ah, great. There you go. There you go. MIDI CC, you can actually assign a physical controller to that and release your inner shaka, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So the same thing with 1. Let's go into 1 and see how that basically works. Yeah, so that's basically that. Those are the LFO rates and the customization within the wave pattern itself. Let's just stay at the third one and go into the octave, where you can take it down an octave or up 2 octaves. So let's bring it down to 0. Pretty much self-explanatory. And the waveform is basically the sine wave, the triangle wave, the sawtooth wave, and the square wave, if I'm not mistaken. So there's variations as to how you can get the wave to sound as well. All right, so let's just try other waves. Let's try the sine wave. Great. Okay, auto mode and manual mode. Let's see what the manual mode does. Okay, right. So manual is when you press the key, and when you take it off, it's off. Auto is when you press the key, all right, and it will just, even when your hand's off the key, it stays on. But you got to press the key again to turn it off. And it's in auto mode where you're going to get that bug. There's no two ways about it. But manual, you're not going to get that bug, because once you press the keys and you take a finger off the key, is off. All right. So that's pretty much that. So underneath that, you got the delay effects and the reverb effects. You don't really need me to go into that. You know what I mean? You know what delays are. You know what reverb does, right? So that's basically the secret dub Siren. And having played around with this, I think probably this is one of the best free dub Siren plugins I've witnessed, to be honest with you. I think it's one of the best ones out there, if not probably the best. You're free to differ if you want to, but it is definitely one of the best I've seen out there, and it's definitely worth copying because it's for free. Right, okay, so now we're going to feature the pièce de la résistance, which is le Skank. Now, as I said before, I've rendered the plugin in its audio form, so I'm not even going to utilize that. I'm going to actually play it live for you right about now as I go through the controls within it. All right, so let's just recap and listen to what instruments we got. Right, so that's all we got there. Going into the interface right here, we have got we've got many different elements. But before I go any further, I need to let you know right now that the model that I've got is basically the Kontakt 5.8, right? I'm not using the Kontakt 6.4 version of the plugin. Reason being, I simply haven't upgraded to the 6.4. I'm on 6.3 at the minute. But the only difference within the plugins on both models is that the effects, there's more effects buttons to play with. With the core interface right here, it is exactly the same. There's no real difference where that is concerned. is not necessarily the main interface that there are any big differences. It's mostly in the effects that are included. There's more parameters to basically play with the effects on the Kontakt 6 version. Well, with that being said, let's go into each section. Right, so we have the guitar section here where you have single coils and the playing style, which will be played from the bridge or the neck. So depending on the type of sound you want, or you can utilize both right here. Okay, single coils. So those are the permutations for that. You can change that to humbuckers and utilize the permutations like that. Let's just keep it at single coils, keep it at the bridge. So underneath here we have the attack, the hold, and the decay. I don't know what the US volume stands for. The velocity button, I know what that stands for. I think this is the link button between the two. So you can have them working independent of each other, or you can have them working with each other. And here's where we get to the interesting bit right here. Okay, so basically you have chords which are separated into major and minor chords, and these are activated by way of key switches, and they're activated by the C0 key. All right, so when I press the C0 key, you can see them changing. All right, now this is basically a manual operation. It doesn't have the operation where you can just press it and it just stays on there. It literally, you have to keep your finger pressed on the key and take it off the key to alternate between the two. I think the same thing can be said with the rhythm. Now with the left one, which is bordered by the red color, it is the downstroke of the guitar, and on the right you have the downstroke and the upstroke. So this is basically the chop, and the right hand side one is the chuck up, chuck up. Why do I say chucker? Chuck, 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 ching it, ching it, whatever you want to basically call it. That is basically the motion of that. And the key switch is E0. All right. So if I go onto the E0 key, there you go. It just changes it right there. And once again, it's something that you have to keep pressed in order to change it. And invert key, which is the D0 key, basically just inverts the playing. So those who, I think maybe left-handed, I don't know, but if you're not comfortable playing the plugin in that way, it can be inverted in order for you to basically play it like that. Okay, so the second section is the filter section, which is pretty much self-explanatory. You got all the different waveforms here. It looks like you've got a round robin button here where each button you press, it will give you a variation of that sample being played. So it won't play the same sample twice. It will give you an element of humanization when it's being played. And you've got the waveforms basically there as well to give your chop, as it were, some tone. So you've got the decay, attack, envelope, amplitude. I'm thinking that is amplitude. I don't know if it's a French thing, but yeah. So basically, you got the frequencies, you got the LFOs and the envelopes there. So you can tailor the sound. You got the resonance, which will basically give you the sharpness, I guess, for want of a better word. And on the right, you have the amp section, which will give you a series of amps based upon the drop down menu here. So you got different amp models here, and based upon whichever amp model you use, you can utilize the air and the size of the impulse responses on your cabinet, and you can utilize the gain, the volume, the bass, the mid-range and the treble in your amp as well. I think that this is a bypass button, but then why have a bypass button and a power button in the same place? I don't know. Answers on a postcard, please. But I think this might be an A-B kind of button here. I could be wrong, but anyway, right. So here we have the pads where you can literally assign a pad to a command. So this, you got the C2, the C#2, the D2 and the D#2. So if you click on that, it will give you the option of which elements you want to give the command to. So this is basically between major and minor. So I can assign the C2 to the major minor
command, the inversion, which is basically there, the down up, which is basically here, the hold, which I don't know if that relates to the holding of the notes or the holding of the major, minor, or the down and the upwards. I'm gonna have to investigate that further. That holds is a interesting button that I need to investigate further. The delay 1, delay 2, and reverb, which is basically based here. There you go. So there's a reverb, multi-delay, and a tape delay, which can all be assigned to a particular pad. Once you keep your finger on the pad, it will basically be active. Once you take it off, it won't be active. That's just the way it basically works. And you have an EQ section here, a modulation section there, and a compressor section here. I'm going to play the track and just give you the raw basic element that this plugin will give you at the very least. It will give you the chop that you want. All right, so here we go. So I'm just going to basically play minor all the way through just to make it easier for you and easy for me. All right, so let's just get into that. Right, going into the minor chord straight through. And so there you have more or less the basic workings of the plugin. So that's pretty much what the Skank can do. I could go deeper into the whole thing, but I think I'll spend a lot of time just giving you the basics of what this thing can do. And I like to give basic first looks so that when you get it, you know what the basics can do and you can expand from those basics or expand on those basics and customize the sound that you want. But in terms of reggae, skank, chop, rhythm, guitar plugins goes, massive thumbs up for this as well. Now, they do have their pros and cons, which I will get into at the close of this video. But like I said, loving all of the plugins thus far. I want to thank Matt and all at Soundfingers for sponsoring this video today. I've had a blast liaising with you and actually getting into the nuts and bolts of this plugin. I definitely will be using these plugins in future productions. There's no question at all. Getting deeper into the plugin, I will basically expose more and more and more and more. And there is some news that I want to give in relation to this plugin as well, which I will give in the closing of this video. But anyway, back to the studio.
Welcome forward. Right, so I'm going to give you the pros and cons of all three plugins, starting off with the Dub Siren. Pro, it's free. No brainer. Another pro, you can utilize the Dub Siren to be a percussive instrument as well as an effect instrument. Now, I listen to Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare a lot, and when I listen to their productions, I like to dissect the sounds that they basically use, and it's amazing the sounds that they use to create the drum patterns that Sly has. Some of the sounds that he uses are more effects than percussive, which are used as percussive elements in his drum loops and his drum beats. And with the secret dub Siren, it can be used to that effect as well. So I'm very happy about that. The cons, there aren't any. There's no cons. I mean, you're not gonna be forking out no money for it. It's either something you're gonna like or you're feeling as a VST plugin or an AAX plugin or an AU plugin, whatever you're using. You're either gonna feel the product or you're not gonna feel the product with no financial burden on yourself. It's absolutely free. So there's no cons in relation to that. Now with the Solid Dub Pro, it's free. No brainer. Another pro, it's fully customizable to get the sub bass that you want and require. Another pro, it is fully customizable with the wave customization and the synth and the sub customization, so you can put different textures of tones on your sub bass if you want to. And the basses are deep, low and deep. There's plenty of things to do in order to get the sound you require. Now the cons is basically that being a victim of its own success, in my opinion, because there are a lot of rumplers, synths on the market, and some synths are available for free as well, where the sub bass you have is included in the rumpler, in the synths, where the rumpler you can't really customize it as such. With the synth you can do, and with synths like Vital, fresh on the market, and also Siren, you can really customize your sub basses to your heart's content. But going back to the pro of Solid Dub being a free plugin, you can make your own bespoke sub bass sounds within that plugin. But just know that there are other plugins that are available for free that might offer more sounds with less customization. It all depends on what you really want. But for the most part, it's free. So it's something to add. Going back to the pro of Solid Dub, it's a specific plugin for a specific instrument. And sometimes that's all you want, that's all you need. You don't want to be faffing around with settings and sound designs and all that kind of stuff. So for the very fact that it specifically deals with sub basses, the only caveat is that if you want the sound bass that you've got in your head, but it's not playing on that plugin, you're gonna have to do a little bit of customization. And with that, especially being in a Kontakt engine as well, you can save the instrument and save the presets as you want to, and you can just literally just call that up as and when you're doing your session. But there are other sub basses out there that does the same thing but has more to offer. Maybe at a small price point, maybe at a medium price point, and yes, even at premium price points as well. But Solid Dub does what it says on the tin, and it's for free. You can't go wrong with that. And last but by no means least, the Skank Pro is that it's a reggae chop plugin. It's a reggae rhythm guitar plugin. And it's something that I've always wanted to have as a go-to, just in case my guitarist is not available to do the session. Just using basic chops. Cheap producer trick incoming. What I used to do when I wasn't able to get a guitarist, I would use a scratch guitar track. That basically means it's a rhythm guitar stroke that doesn't have any key in it. It doesn't have any chord structure in it. It's literally tick, tick. And what I would do, I would basically EQ it, put a bit of reverb on it, slight reverb, and put it underneath the keyboard. And it will give the listener the illusion that there is a rhythm guitar playing in chord, in key, and on time with a little variation of, I don't know, swing, let's just say. But that's what I used to do when I wasn't able to have a guitarist on hand. I mean, I could use guitar samples, but it was a bit of a hassle to just sample it, tune it up and what have you. It was just quick and easy to do back in the day. But with something like the Skank, it is there to do. The cons for me is the very thing that it is its selling point, whereas the keystrokes are something I'm just gonna have to get used to. With Kontakt and plugins within Kontakt itself, you have to learn the keystrokes in order to maximize the effect of the plugin that you are utilizing. And I think with the Skank, it's no different. It's just something you're gonna have to learn to do, which is something that I'm more than willing to do because there's not a lot of reggae, skank, rhythm guitar, chop plugins on the market. There's not a lot. In fact, I don't know if there's any I've found. Don't get me wrong, I've found samples and stuff like that, but they don't capture that initial check, check, check. They just don't capture it. Another con, which it's no way of a con per se, but it's a given fact. The Skank and any other plugin, they are never going to capture the character of a real guitarist playing rhythm. I'm sorry, they're just not going to do that. That's why I have real guitarists in my session. However, in the event that I don't, it's a good standby plugin to utilize. But I'm not just going to use that on its own because it's going to sound repetitive. It's going to sound, I wouldn't say non-energetic, but just on one level all the time, right? Whereas with a live guitarist, he's gonna have his own flavor. And even though you have the settings where you can play the downstroke on its own, and you can play the down and upstroke, and you can tailor the sounds to give the effects that you want and desire, it's cool. But at the same time, you're still not gonna have the I haven't gotten that deep yet, but I'm sure there is a way to get that, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm not gonna have it as a complete con, but just be under no illusion that the Skank is gonna give you all the character you need from a rhythm guitar plugin. It will just give you the basics of what you need, and you're gonna need to actually get in the nuts and bolts of the thing to tailor it and to customize it the way you want it to sound, because every guitarist is different. Every rhythm guitar is different in the way it interprets reggae and how it sounds to them. Another con, which is not necessarily a con, but for me as a producer, it's just been my way of producing. Whenever I use plugins that has its own onboard effects, engines in it, I tend just to use the raw sound from that plugin and export that into a separate channel and use my own effects plugins by way of my signature sound. I've seen videos where people are using the Skank and they're using the dub effects or the delay effects, and all that is great, all that is gravy, it's all good. However, it's getting to the point that I can recognize the sound, I can recognize the effects and know, okay, that's the Skank's effects engine and not the effect engine from your DAW or third-party plugins that you are using to make the sound somewhat different for me to think, hold on a second, is he using the Skank, but it doesn't sound like the Skank, but it sounds like a real guitarist to a point, but that's not the effects that I associate with the Skank. It's gonna have me asking those questions. And if it has me asking those questions when I'm just using the raw sound, as it were, and utilizing my own plugins with that, that's a good thing. But I will say this, I've been in conversation with Matt and he did state to me that he's going to be building a new Skank engine within the Skank. So that will be very interesting. And he's looking to basically record more samples within the Skank and to include an update in the not too distant future. So this plugin has definitely got some potential. There's no two ways about it. And for where he's actually got the plugin at this point is very, very commendable. Very commendable. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't have the huge budget like some of these other developers has. To be able to create a plugin of that magnitude, let's just say, it's something to be applauded. And that's what I like about small companies basically building plugins that, you know, has a niche market within itself, but can be utilized for so many other things. Not only can it just deal with traditional reggae, it can basically be featured on contemporary modern reggae, even pop. You know what I mean? To fuse the pop and reggae together, to fuse jazz and reggae together, to fuse electronic music and reggae together. Do you know what I'm saying? You know where I'm coming from? You know where I'm getting at? So that's basically that. So I know I've kind of spent a lot of time waffling and going on and on and on and on and on, but I needed to give my pros and cons and give my thumbs up to all of the products, you know. The Skank is available as a Kontakt instrument in both 5.8, I do believe, and also 6.4, and are available at the soundfingers.com website. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, I want to thank you all for watching. And if you found this video by any way helpful in any shape or form, please do not hesitate to smack that like button. No, Lloyd, you're 56. Click on the subscribe button, click the like, give a comment, whatever you want to do, and I will catch you on the next one. So until we link up next time, people, please, as always, abstain from foolishness, even your own, even my own. Be wise. And until we link up next time, people, stay blessed. I'm out of here. Maganski, laters. Abstain from foolishness.